just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. We are still talking about the pathway for development of transportation and infrastructure in Africa. Of course, we still have with me the two handsome gentlemen, one at my right and one at my left. They always tell you that when Jesus wanted to die, he had two sinners beside him. Wow. One went with him and the other didn't go. But of course, in the course of the conversation, you would know who is going with me and who is not going. On my right-hand side, I have the esteemed Dr. Samasen. And at my left-hand side, I have Muyo. And
my problem is that I'm on your left.
You see, that is the thing.
I'm on your left.
They
you set me up. You set me up.
I didn't call any name.
Oh, my God.
All right.
I just said something.
We'll have a conversation about this.
What a free ticket I got this morning.
Can you imagine?
By Providence.
Wow.
Well, God loves those who love him.
I do. I really do. All right.
I'm just talking about God loving those who love him. Doctor, before we went on the break, Moyo had asked the question, and you know you were trying to lay a foundation.
A foundation, yes.
Yes, of African leaders who had talked about unity, and you were on Gaddafi. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Gaddafi made a lot of effort, but unfortunately, a lot of people didn't believe him because, number one, they felt he was a dictator. And being a dictator, and they think, oh, he needed more power. And so he really did not get enough support. Then, of course, recently we also see the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, also making those overtures to see how to put Africa together. And then, of course, there's also a lot of misreading to his efforts.
Yes.
And especially because of the role that he's playing in East Africa. And people feel that he's foiling those crises. But in his own thinking, he just feels that Africa needs to be one and there's no need for us to be fighting ourselves. And how do we actually put stabilities in all the trouble spots in Africa, which is, of course, his goal. And I think that's where, of course, the issues about after is. Yes. Because we're looking at trading with ourselves. We need those road networks connected. We need port infrastructure connected. We need our airports connected. And that requires a lot of money to do. But for us to be able to do this, of course, the prospect of trade also has to be very high. And I said it the other time here. Many of us, we do primary products, and therefore, the prospect of trading with each other is going to be quite limited. Because those who buy the primary products are principally in Europe or in Asia. So the need for African to deliberately industrialize is what is here. And African leaders must come together, put resources together, even through the African Development Bank, for example, to see how we can, over a space of maybe 30 to 50 years, begin to build an Africa that is working for Africa, not Africa that is working for Europe. And that is actually what the gain of AFTA would have been if it is working. That we are seeing that Africa is united by trade, and therefore the prospect of wars are ended, insecurity is taken off the way. But right now, the only thing we shop with ourselves is insecurity, from the Sahel down to the West here, and see a lot of trouble that we are spreading among ourselves, we should not be. And that, again, is as a result of the failure of leadership, especially in these countries of Africa. So once we can deal with the leadership question and then restore trust back to Africa, then, of course, we find that our leaders, we cannot own them. Because if you ask an average African, they see their leaders as surrogates of the European powers. Or working for Asia as against them. So until Africans start to see their leaders as working for them, that prospect of a beautiful trade amongst ourselves will still be very, very far off. But I think more importantly is, how are we going to build this trust? And I don't think it's something that it's a rocket science.
Yes.
It just requires a lot of simple transparency. That we know that this road that we are constructing is going to cost S billion of dollars.
Yes.
And we know that over a period of time, those who are going to invest in that road are saying, okay, we're going to get something done. I'll give you one example. Somebody was criticizing the Coastal Road recently, was talking about the construction of the Benin Ore Road. Yeah. That since 1999, that road has been under construction. Yes. And it's not finished. So how are we sure that we are going to be able to do a 700 kilometer of road within the space of about 10 years or thereabout? But the truth is that, again, speaking to the character of who we are, that you see, they are doing Ijebu Day to Ore portion, and it takes them like 3 or 4 years. And by the time they finish that portion and they are going to Ore Edo side, the one that is done in Ijebu Day is already washing off.
Yes.
Because they are not done well.
There's no
And you see, that was the reason why Mahi has been insisting that, look, all the roads, if asphalt is not working for us, why can't we do concrete that can last 10, 15 years and doesn't require repairs? And in that case, you find that we are not spending money on the things that are already done. Yeah. But don't forget, when we are creating, solving our problem, we tend to be creating more problems. I'll give you an example in the Ministry of Works. Now, when you look at the Ministry of Works in Nigeria, there's what they call FEMA.
Yes.
What's FEMA? They call them road maintenance agents. Now, what's the work of FEMA? It's supposed to be maintaining road.
Yes.
I remember we were doing procurement training somewhere in the UAE, and many of them were there, and I said, there's a machine that helps you fix road. And it's just a small machine. You put your asphalt there, and it's walking along the road before they become real problem. But what do you see? FEMA will wait for the road to deteriorate so that it can translate into contract award. That's a big problem. So rather than fix road when they have problem, they let it be. But again, because the system, the way it's designed, is not doing well. Something happened some time ago. I just mentioned the project Souq.
Yes.
Now, the project Souq says that this road is going to be built, and in Dubai, constructions last between 10 and 20 years. And they tell you that you are the contractor who fixed this road. In 10 years, we don't expect to see a pothole on this road. If we see a pothole on this road, it means you didn't do the work well. You are going to refund the money we paid to you.
Wow.
So what were contractors doing? They go to radio stations, TV stations, to say, this road that is moving from Dubai to Abu Dhabi or to Sharjah, if you see a pothole, please, we will give you 100 dirham for spotting a pothole.
Wow.
What do you think that citizens will be doing?
Pothole spotting.
They will be spotting potholes. And so when they spot a pothole, they call the toll line and they say, I saw a pothole. And they say, you have won 100 dirham. So come and collect 100 dirham. While the man is going to collect 100 dirham, the construction company has gone to patch the place. And government really never sees it. And so the road is in a motorable state all through. But I think until we begin to enforce our SOPs here, some of all these things will not. If a contractor do a road, and after 3 months, that road washed out. In short, such contractor should be imprisoned, not just blackmailed, not just blacklisted.
Should be in prison, should be locked up.
Should be locked up.
That's criminal.
But unfortunately, we can't talk about locked up because this network of fraud that happens, because the man who is supervising the job that in the first place, who has asked that this job be certified and done well, should actually be the culprit. Because in Rwanda, for example, if a road fails, it's not, the primary effort is not on the contractor. The ministry supervisory engineer is the first to go to prison.
Bam. That's it.
And I think these are some of the things that we can do and replicate. So when you go to Rwanda, you see good road network because contractors are doing their work well. You are not spending same money on the same road.
Yes.
Can you just look at it, for example, this Third Mainland Bridge in the last 10 years? How many times we have resurfaced it?
Yes.
So it's wasting resource. The money that would have been meant to build other infrastructure, we are using it to fix because it's the most important route, and therefore we have to concentrate on it. And every year in and year out, we are making budget to make that road more tolerable because somebody is not doing his work well. Yeah. And I think these are the issues. And I think it's where, of course, for me, somebody like Engineer Umahi needs a lot of encouragement and support rather than criticism. Because he needs to actually say that our roads are done well. If you look at what Dangote did on Apapa Oshodi Road,
Fantastic.
with concrete, that road in the last 5 years, you can't spot a pothole there.
Yes.
And I think that is where we should be. And then, of course, we will be able to save money to build bigger road networks. By that, of course, Africa can be connected, and then trade can happen.
This has been such a beautiful conversation, but unfortunately, time is actually running out. I just think that we need to revisit this topic and bring Doctor back. Of course, minus the fact that we'll have another tea break, and lunch on him. But it has been beautiful. And the last thing I wanted to add, Doctor, before we run off very quickly, is do you think that in Africa, the criticisms from the citizens, usually fueled by political reasons, are some of the reasons why infrastructural development doesn't take place? So let's go back to the Calabar Road. This is a road that is being built. At least I had the privilege of driving through that road in December, through traffic to Lekki. I was from here, I was able to take, I thought I was scared when I was going because of how long the road was, and I was able to bust out at Jakonde. But the same people who are passing through that road are still the same people that are criticizing that government is not doing anything.
Yeah, but I tell you, again, coming back to Africa, Professor Claude Ake, God bless his soul, wrote a book. Water wrote one book, he called it How Europe Underdeveloped Africa.
Yes.
So he wrote another book, How Politics Underdeveloped Africa. And I think that book is quite instructive. And what Professor Claude Ake was saying in that book is the fact that in the calculation and in the discussion of public policy in Africa, we have really not emphasized the economic dimension of those controversies. The political correctness has been what has actually been pushing us. Now, so once you look at all of those conversations that we may now quote and unquote citizens' criticism,
yes.
Because sometimes I watch the media and I see people say citizens of Nigeria. I'm wondering, so does it mean that only oppositions are citizens? That the people who belong to the governing party are not citizens? So this tells you the way we think. That we say, Nigerians are saying, but you see, also people are contradicting or controverting whatever thing you feel that you're saying. Yes. But take, for example, the coastal road. What's the major argument? Some people say, the cost is on the high side. But development partners says, no, the cost is moderate. Because we have looked at the terrain. Because if you see the problem that was on the east-west road going to Port Harcourt,
yes,
people will have to dig like 10 feet down to remove the bad soil and then have to fill it with laterite sand. That's huge money. Yes. So if you are doing a road in Cotonou, you don't need that because the ground is solid.
Yes.
You just need to put this thing and then put it. But here in Niger Delta, for example, you have to first of all dig. Now you have small rivers that are crossing. Those places have to be bridged.
Yes.
And you know what it takes to bridge a river for the road to pass. Now, nobody is factoring this in as we are thinking that, we are constructing a road. It's going to be on a straight plain soil. Yeah. And that will say, the cost is this one. So you have to factor in the complexity of the environment where this road is passing. Somebody said, we can't do it because we have been doing east-west road for 27 years. The fact that somebody failed yesterday does not mean we cannot try today.
Yes.
So, and I think those arguments are not valid. But they are necessary because it will help in the capture of state power. So we tell the narrative very skewedly toward ourselves So that people say, oh, when you get into power, you have done it. I ask people from time to time, yes, if you were president today, what would you have done differently?
Exactly.
And of course, really, people don't have answers to it. Because there's a whole lot of constraint. Somebody say, oh, why will you commission 30 kilometers of road? But it's also to demonstrate to people that it is possible. That construction started in March, and by May, they were able to do 30 kilometers. Now, if you check it, March to May, how many months? About 3 months interval. Yeah. So which means if you can do 30 kilometers in 3 months, you can calculate the number of kilometers that we can do, and you see that definitely by 2031, of course, as it's projected, it is possible for that road network to be completed if there's a commitment and effort to do that thing. But somebody must have to bear the card somehow, and I think that's what the administration is doing, and we must commend them for the jobs that they are doing.
Talking about building the cards, Moyo, it's time for you to build the cards. I want you to give me your final words on the show for today, because it's time for us to go. They say we should go.
I mean, this is Africa, and you know, Africa, we have a lot of resources, a lot of things that we are blessed with, even just from the waterways and the topography, the landscape, the people. I think that it's important that we focus on everything that puts us, you know, at the forefront and puts us at our best, and transportation and logistics is one of them. We have to work hard. We also have to clean our streets, and I'm not just talking about the dirt. I'm talking about the agberos. Yes, there's no mega city where a thing like that is acceptable. I'm only saying that because we didn't get to talk about it.
Yes.
I don't think there's any mega city where stuff like that is acceptable. It's an unsafe practice, and many other things like that. So let's do our best to make Africa the Africa of our dreams.
Of course, coming from a man who was about, I think, was it 150,000 agberos took from you when your car broke down?
Oh my God!
This is why it's very
You just outed me.
because he was very personal about it. Dr. Please, your final words on the show today towards the topic and Africa.
Well, those who have responsibility governing Africa must understand that it's not a child's play, and require a whole lot of brain work and thinking, and we must be creative in terms of creating solutions for Africa. Talking politics is not enough, but we must sit down, look at the drawing board, look at what our problem is, and then strategically plan how we can make Africa grow and become the bride of the committees of all nations. Africa has prospect, and as we speak today, it's remained the only continent with prospect. And I think the other people need to come to Africa, and therefore the leaders of today has a lot of work in their hand to create that enabling environment for people to come. I remain yours, Osama Zaida Hussein.
All right, so as I'm about to leave you, I leave you with the words that say that think Africa, buy Africa, and be Africa. My name is Swift Aderito. Don't forget, you could always watch the show from 8:30 in the morning, of course, to 9:30. And this is Just Africa. See you same time, same station tomorrow from 8:30. Be Africa, think Africa, and buy Africa. Have a lovely day.
Egypt is a living museum where the past and present come together in a remarkable dance, and it is more than simply a nation. Egypt, which is well known around the world for its pyramids, pharaohs, and the magnificent Nile, is still transforming its rich historical legacy into a vital source of economic expansion and pride in the country. Egypt is a vibrant African country that is leveraging its historical heritage, tourism, the Suez Canal, agriculture, and a growing digital economy to drive its future. Let's start with tourism, which continues to be Egypt's most valuable economic driver. Egypt is home to more than 1/3 of the world's antiquities, and Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, and Alexandria welcome millions of visitors each year. Beyond its aesthetic value, the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Valley of Kings, and the soon-to-open Grand Egyptian Museum serve as economic hubs that support employment, foreign exchange, and Egypt's place on the world cultural map. Egypt has recovered quickly despite international disturbances like the COVID-19 epidemic, with current tourism receipts surpassing $13 billion. However, As visitors awe at history, international trade passes via Egypt's Suez Canal, one of the most important sea lanes in the world. The canal is a vital bypass for international commerce, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea across a distance of 193 kilometers. Suez Canal tolls brings in billions of dollars for Egypt each year, more than $9 billion in 2023 alone, making the canal more than simply a historical site. It is a vital component of international trade. The Suez Canal Economic Zone, a center for commerce, logistics, and industry, was likewise fueled by the canal. Agriculture comes next, especially near the Nile. Important products including wheat, rice, cotton, and dates are grown in the lush Nile Valley and Delta. Citrus fruits, particularly oranges, which are highly sought after in Europe and the Middle East, are among Egypt's biggest exports worldwide. Innovations in irrigation and climate-smart farming are growing, and agriculture still contributes to national food security and rural lives. Infrastructure and energy are also changing quickly. By exporting liquefied natural gas to Europe and other countries, Egypt has established itself as a new energy center in Africa and the Mediterranean. This change includes the Zohr gas field, one of the biggest in the Mediterranean. In addition, Egypt is developing smart cities, high-speed rail, and new administrative capitals, while investing in solar energy through initiatives like the Bendon Solar Park, Africa's largest. Not to be overlooked is Egypt's creative economy. The film industry in Cairo is sometimes referred to as the Hollywood of the Arab world, and pop culture in North Africa and the Middle East has long been influenced by the Egyptian literature, music, and television. Young Egyptian creatives are already establishing new industries, such as tech companies and fashion. Thanks to the growth of social media and digital storytelling, Egypt has geopolitical weight due to the advantageous location at the intersection of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Its position as a continental power is further supported by its participation in peacekeeping missions, commercial agreements such as COMESCA and the African Continental Free Commercial Area AFCFTA, and regional diplomacy. However, the way Egypt skillfully combines innovation with tradition is what really makes it stand out. It is one of the few African countries where a more than 5,000-year-old civilization still shapes its economy and reputation outside. Egypt continues to leverage its history to forge a strong and aspirational future, whether it's a software entrepreneur in Cairo, a relic in a museum, or a ship across the Suez. This is Just Africa, and I am Chike Okolo.
Well, you already know my name is Steve Omojafor, and my middle name is Bamidele. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos, and I then happened to be born here at Odo Street, Balindi. And in fact, we had it. We didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse, Mama Nurse. That's what we, So I was born in that little place, and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidele. My parents probably said, well, we have had you here, but this is not home. As at that time, you will go home with us. No problem. So I started off at St. Matthias Catholic Primary School on Louis Street. And I was in St. Matthias from 1953 till 1960, when we finished with our primary school leaving certificate. Then from there, an extra year at Holy Cross School. We needed that extra, they call it prep class. Prepare yourself to go to the secondary school. And from Holy Cross, for 1 year, I moved on to St. Gregory's College, Lagos. Now, growing up in Lagos was one of the best things that happened to us then. Life was good, life was easy, life was safe, life was like everything that a young man could aspire to. We went to school with Scholars Bus, which was virtually provided for free. When Scholars Bus was not available, it was fun walking from Obalende, firstly to St. Matthias, and then from there to St. Gregory's College. Life was good, life was safe. You could go out any time of the day. You could play from house to house. Parents knew each other very well. And so, in fact, when you were late somewhere on your street or in your neighborhood, you could sleep there because they would send a message to your home that Dele is here, so don't bother. The next morning you wake up, have your bath, have breakfast, return to your home. There was this community life that we all lived. Parents could discipline children of their friends, okay? Not like these days, you dare not touch any other child. The parents will come and, do a battle with you. That I didn't send my child to you to be flogged or to be beaten. So it was a very beautiful life. So went to St. Matthias, went to St. Gregory's College, and then from there to University of Lagos. We were brothers keepers. School was fun. Teachers were all there just to teach you. There was no messing around. There weren't any bad habits that people could be developing along the line, So that was my life growing up. So we were all walking through Balinde to Lafiaji, to Campus Square, to Tokunbo, Okekpokpo, So we were children of the neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Lafiaji. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. So today, still believe me, I get up on some Fridays, I just go to Lafiaji, I stay with the guys. Okay, not all of us were fortunate enough to go through the system. Okay, so those who, in quote, we left behind, we still, a lot of the time, we still talk to them. We still relate to them when there are problems that we could fix. We help out. Because, it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, on their own volition. But generally, we all like the idea of going to school, but some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers. And a lot of the time, I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down, 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published. And I liked it, okay? You open the papers and you just see, contributed by Steve Omojafor, or some will call me Bamidele Omojafor. So that kept me getting interested in the media. So when I left secondary school, after higher school, I would just pay a visit to Daily Times, which was in Tinubu, Kakawa Street. I just pay a visit there, you know, and I got talking to people. They would take me to the newsroom, you know. They would just show me how newspapers are produced and all that. That ignited my interest. So when I left higher school, mass communication was what called me. I know that my uncle, you are not doing accountancy, you are not doing engineering, you're not doing medicine. You want to go and become a newspaper boy? I said, yes, this is where my interests lie. So I got admitted to Lagos University and studied mass communication there. And while I was there, I developed a column in Lagos Weekend of those days. Every Friday I was contributing. And I was writing under the name of Akinbodilon. Now, Akinbodilon itself is a name that I picked up in a drama group. Because we had a drama group that we produced all kinds of little plays here and there at J.K. Randall Hall, you know. So one of the roles I played was Akinbodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akinbodilon. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Golabo Ogusawo, you know, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years. It became very popular. It got to a point, Vice Chancellor would call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I said, I'm not even employed there. I'm just writing, you know. So I left University of Lagos, had all kinds of jobs that one could do, but I headed for Daily Times because I just had developed a path for myself, and that is journalism. Okay. So while in the Daily Times, worked with the Lagos Weekend, went to Daily Times proper and worked there. I was a columnist, I was a sub-editor, and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew and grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Lintas Advertising. When I walked into Lintas, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. You know, then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm a sub-editor at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I I want to broaden my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, "Look, Steve, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Linters." I said, "Well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, you know." So I said, "Okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters." And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, "Sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times." So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times, you know. So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, you know, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akodusi left Admark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies, because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Souq, and it grew beyond our own imagination. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, no, STB McCann then, I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, "My name is ABC, blah, blah, blah." And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, "Look, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that." He said, "No, he just wants to talk to you." So I picked up, he picked up the line and said, "My name is this. And I said, "My name is this." He said, "Can we meet?" So I said, "She, no problem." He said, "No." So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, "I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics." He said, "No. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that." That was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year, was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there. Gradually, I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, you know, so at least you know how the banks operate. I've always been a customer of the banks in a very small scale. And all I did was follow the banking trend there weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point in time. But I followed through. And that was it. I got onto the board. And somewhere along the line, there was the policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN. And they approached me and said, you are going to become, at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board. I said, me? And they said, yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me anyway? To cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and returned full time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago. But I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then. Okay, Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other. We knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged, if you had a news that was breaking, you want to call up colleagues from other papers, we all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do, So newspaper was great. And it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good. And there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days, the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. For instance, television I didn't do much about. While in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio, okay? Interesting stories. I had, there was a name to this program, the Oddities, Odd World. So we were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing, radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning from cover to cover. Other forms of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing in, a lot of the time you could never get across, okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be. Okay? So now people on their phone could reach out, you could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the news stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether, and everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check, okay? We have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be, So in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. People are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media, and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity in media. And I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it. And for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. Thanks to our mobile news. You talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, so that we don't mislead people on the street, particularly people in the rural areas. One day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted in news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, Remember this commercial, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bank? I said, I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times, my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I said, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank. Who will come into the bank and get properly served? Who will come into the bank and feel like human? Who will come into the bank feel important? Because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. You can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits, okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, they will tell you you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%, blah, 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 blah. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so much. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the bank than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must still say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, it goes as far as. Maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together. For both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there'll be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And suddenly, banks started, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks. So people can spread out, and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system, and we are still going. Now, the banks for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring, and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking because you had the power to bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we run it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor. Go and do this. Go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. change your policy to be done. I mean, that's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just ran this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them, and you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong. And the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. And it is wrong. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this space. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it with people who deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed and borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay? Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay? So the CBN has its own role, and my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people. The Minister for Finance has said it that much. We should. We all know, simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. At the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance. Give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, president said so, president said, even things that the president did not say, president said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother is carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go around Obalinde, Igboshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling. From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold, I make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street off Igboshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. To be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up till where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. You finish secondary school, you don't know what you are going to reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university did it occur to you, okay, I'm going to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igboshere Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear buba and shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, I mean, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, you know, even when his dress is khaki and khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long time, up to the point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, you know, but these days I have just acquired that fashion taste, you know, which has suddenly become my, what do you call it? Become what I'm known with, and I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. I think, number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting for you. But as we grew up, I mean, you probably will ask me today, do I use the rod for my children, for instance? And the answer is no. And why it is no is that these days the children look up to you. They are more exposed than what we were. More exposed. They know what daddy does. If you show them a bad example, they will repeat that bad example. If they know that when daddy wakes up in the morning, before he goes anywhere, he needs time to say his prayers. They too unconsciously will copy you. If they know that when dad goes out, he comes back certain time. He doesn't come in at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Subconsciously, they too will know there's something that this old man sees that doesn't make him go out all night. So they copy from us. But then, like people say, I don't know how correct it is, that these days, people are so busy looking for money. They're all over the place. They abandon the home to nannies and housemates and all that. And the children, a lot of the time, are on their own. But people like you and I, for instance, probably had housemates in the house. You see, but the work that the housemaid does, we were also made to do it. Right? Washing our plates, staying in the kitchen to see how things are prepared. They took us through it, even if you didn't have to do it yourself. And that's why you and I are what we are today. But for the modern young families, most so if there's some money to back it up, no, the children don't touch a lot of housework in the homes. They can go out by the time they like. They can wear, I mean, you see some little young girls and what they wear. In fact, even to the church, you want to ask yourself, aren't their parents go to see what the children are wearing? Particularly the female. Even the guys wearing what they, think they don't use the belt, the trouser would just be somewhere on their hips and all that. Yeah, I mean, we want them to express themselves, but within control. So, wrapping up on that, I'm going to say, yes, we grew up under stronger control. Today's parents are so much in love with their children. They don't want to make them unhappy. You don't want to, pick up a stick and hit them. But I don't quarrel with that. But please be there for them when they need you. And don't be scared to talk to your parents. To talk to your children. No, we should never be scared to talk to them. Because they're not going to take us over. They are our children. So what you don't want them to do, communication, extremely important. Talk to them. Let them, because peer pressure is extremely strong out there. They're mixing with so many guys from much even richer homes who have more to spoil their children with. Now you are a moderate family, your moderate children have to mix and relate and go out with guys with stronger economic background. There is, there is some disconnect there. Let's bring our children closer. Let's talk to them. A lot of parents don't talk to their children, and it's not right. Because the more you talk to them, the more they have that empathy for you. They know you care for them. They know you, because you have been moderately successful, for instance, they too want to be successful like you are, and all you are saying to them, follow my footsteps and you may not go wrong. And don't make wealth, money, the thing that should govern your homes. Don't spoil the children. Give them adequately what we all need to survive, and they will survive. In those days, while all you needed to take to school was 1 shilling. Okay, you still see children from rich homes who came with £1 and stuff like that. But let's be contented. Let's teach the children to be contented with what we have. Families are growing, society is expanding, and we can reach out to any part of the world. Now, we need to bring them closer to the home. At least up till the time that they are leaving you to go and start up there. But as long as they're still within your influence, it's very important that children and their families come much, much stronger together. I'm going to start with sports. I was an avid squash player. Okay, back in school, a bit of football, a bit of tennis, and all that. But when I started growing up seriously, I loved squash. And I played squash until I was over 50. Okay, and the doctor said, slow down on squash. So today, I do my swimming. Okay, I still do my swimming 2-3 times a week. Okay, and then of course I work. You know, there's this thing that keeps on saying, I mean, if all you can do is work for 30-40 minutes a day, okay, and then of course I'm an avid fan of football up to today. I wish we could develop a local league so that I could slow down on my European Premier, Premier League sessions. So I love football and I love lawn tennis up to now. Now, favorite color, subdued. Okay. Hot colors frighten me. Okay. And if you have to do it, just make it minimal. When I pick my dress, for instance, you got to know you want the kind of shirt you want to wear to match the color of the tie you want to use, to match the color of your suit, so it doesn't run riot. So it's extremely important. And I said to my friend, just Google it. What color matches this and what color matches that? You know, so you don't become like a Christmas tree, you know, on the road. That was the third one, food. I grew up enjoying my eba and amala. Growing up from Obalinde, okay? So I do my eba, I do my amala. Rice, occasionally. But then these days, from age 70 upwards, the doctors are screaming, watch what you eat, what the quantity you eat. So my wife draws up a weekly timetable. Monday is this, Tuesday is that, Wednesday is that, and she manages to mix up a slightly heavy one and a slightly lighter one so that you have a good mix. With age, you cut down on a lot of things. Cut down on your booze, cut down on your champagne, you cut down on your wine, you cut down on your salt. In fact, it's like they're punishing us. But then they say that is the way to go to be able to at least live longer and enjoy more of life.
Directors, President, Nigerian Guild of Editors, distinguished editors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, as part of your engagement, to engage with various stakeholders, you have met with various groups, and another critical group that you are meeting today are members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Of course, you had a meeting with NUG where they selected journalists from states of the Federation, where you share your vision also seek for their support. It's the same thing we are here to do. Editors, before you is the chairman of the ICPC. Before becoming the chairman of ICPC, he was the Commissioner of Justice in Jigawa State. And he has a vision that he intends to unveil, or he wants you to help him so that he achieve this vision. Dr. Musa Ali San is currently pursuing a vigorous restructuring of the ICPC that requires your support, your understanding. And that is why I came to Lagos purposely to meet with you and to seek for that support. Distinguished editors, I present you as one of you. I present you the chairman of ICPC and Dr. Musa Ali San. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome, sir.
The management staff of ICPC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy and delighted to be in the midst of these distinguished Nigerians. And I have to say that we at ICPC, we really cherishes and greatly values the partnership with you all, because we know that you are really great and valuable because of the role which our Grand Norm has given to the media. And there is no doubt that your dedication to exposing corruption and enhancing our efforts has been crucial in fostering a more transparent society. And our decision to come here today is part of our determination to strengthen our partnership. That's why this breakfast meeting is not merely an event, but any affirmation of our shared mission to combat corruption and uphold integrity in Nigeria. And your support for the ICPC in delivering its statutory mandate, including its robust activities and initiatives in fighting corrupt practices and other related offenses in Nigeria, is really commendable, because you have been really helpful in enlightening Nigerians about the problem of corruption. And I'm personally filled with gratitude that the media has continued to positively boost the ICPC's anti-corruption public communication efforts. Your investigative reports, analysis, and overall dedication to truth have helped in exposing corrupt practices, because there are a lot of stories that you published which help us in our investigation. And most of these stories, they have led us to discovering some massive challenges that is facing, or that are facing our public sector. And if I may recall, there is one whereby it has to do with our youth. A contract supposed to be executed for the benefit of our youth, but the humongous amount of money was diverted. And it was as a result of one of you we discovered the challenge. So I thank you for the contribution. As we salute your commitment to the crusade against corruption, ICPC under my leadership is really serious to ensure that sustenance and heightening of our collaboration with you. And the media is not merely an observer, you are a frontline partner in the fight. And over the years, ICP has adopted a strategic communication approach in line with Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Section 27, Sub 4 of the ICPC Act. And these laws ensure the protection of suspects' rights while remaining strict, diligent, and stand in our actions. And ICPC will remain resolute in propagating the rule of law and protecting human dignity. And also, ICPC under my leadership prioritizes the protection of whistleblowers and the integrity of investigations. And transparency is a cornerstone of our work, and we will continue to provide verified information through official channels, which include press releases, newsletters, and our digital platforms. May I quickly review some of our engagement last year? Last year, because I was the Attorney General, and I rallied my former colleagues, we had a meeting in Abuja whereby we look at the challenge of corruption at subnational. We reviewed the problems and also agreed that we need to work together. As a former Attorney General, I know that they are critical because they are the chief law officers of the states. That is why I engaged them, and after the meeting we had in Abuja, we started the zonal engagement. We had one in Kano for the Northwest, where we discussed challenges around corruption within the zone. And also this year we are going to the other geopolitical zones to have similar deliberations. And also in September this year we are going to sit down and review what we have done to see how can we partner. Because I feel the attorneys general are critical. And as chief law officers, they need to work together with us, because by Section 15 of the Constitution, all of us are supposed to put hand on deck in order to fight corruption and also to see how can we tackle abuse of office. And also, I had engagement with Nigerian Institute of the NIPR, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, ICANN, Nigerian Bar Association, and various stakeholders on how can we partner in the fight against corruption. Because no single entity can fight corruption. We need to work together. So that is why I reach out to various stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same page. And last year, we were able to reach out fiscally 1,458,000 individuals through our 579 sensitization exercise conducted under our community engagement programs. And we issued about 188 press releases. And also the Commission experienced increased followership in our social media platforms. And also we introduced what we call ethics pods, a podcast, whereby we are sensitizing Nigerians around the issue of corruption. And also, there is no way we can succeed without having planning. Our strategic action plan 2024 to 2028 was unveiled last year, whereby we gathered stakeholders and discussed it, because that will be our focus on how we can work. And our strategic action plan is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which has 5 pillars: corruption prevention, issue of enforcement and punishment, ethical orientation, and also enlisting public support of Nigerians, so that, and also recovery of proceeds of crime and management. And this is the area whereby we have upscaled our activities to see that we trace, recover, and manage the process of crime and also to remit it back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund so that we won't allow those allegedly took away what did not belong to them to go away with it. Because if you allow them, once they accumulate the process of crime, no doubt they will use it and also to fight back. And also they will deprive Nigerians with what they are supposed to have in the issue of infrastructure. So that's why we focus seriously in that area of recovery of process of crime. And also ICPC, as you know, that it has laudable programs. And one of the key issues which I focus is that I ensure that I consolidate all what the previous chairman of ICPC have done, from late Justice Mustafa Akambi to Professor Wasoni. I ensure that all their programs are intact and I'm building up so that I want to ensure that we maintain that organizational culture of ICPC and also for me to enhance what they did, most especially to focus on digital transformation, because this is an area whereby we need to use technology in the fight against corruption, most especially in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence, that we'll be able to analyze huge data. And I'm sure you're aware of the constituency and executive project tracking, which ICPC is well known about it. And I know last year we were able to track over 1,500 projects, which has value of over 600 billion naira. And so that at least Nigerians can get good quality projects that is in the budget. And also the Ethic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, which is an initiative of ICPC, which measure institutions adherence to ethical standards. We released the results, and I have seen the impact, because most of head of agencies that have not done well, they reach out. Chairman, why? What are our challenges? Can you help us to see that we overcome these problems? Which is really good, because I have never thought that it will have that impact. And why? Because of you here. You have gave it wide publicity. So because of that, most of the head of agencies now, they reach out. Please, how can we do well next year? So I thank you for the assistance. And also our sexual harassment prevention program, which is tackling corruption linked to abuse of power. Last year, I know that we had engagement with the one civil society, where the ministers of the Minister of Education, then Professor Tahir Mamman, and the State Minister Yusuf Tonko Sununu, they were there. The former Minister of Affairs was there, and also over 20 commissioners of education across the country, they attended, because we discussed the challenge around the problem of sexual harassment, most especially in our tertiary institutions, because our students are victims of this challenge. So that's why ICPC has been doing its greats in that area, so that we ensure that we help our students, we protect them from sexual harassment. And I'm sure that you are aware that currently there is one of the senior academics that is facing trial at Abuja Federal High Court on this issue of sexual harassment. So, and we are determined to ensure that where there is credible evidence, any sexual harassment complaint tabled before us, we will make our efforts to ensure that we investigate it and also take the matter to court where there is evidence. Then there is our Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, Act 2, that they have been doing well in the various MDAs in order to help in ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in MDAs in this country. Then, when I came in, I tried to bring up my policy, which I call it Care for Impact. to ensure that ICPs as an agency, I consolidate the good culture of that agency. And also an agency which is unaccountable, responsible, and efficient in approaching all issues that are coming before us. So that one too is something that I unveiled last year, and we have been using it. Now, recently, we are aware of the decision of the Supreme Court about the local government autonomy. So we have looked at the decision, and also we have been having various engagement with civil society to see how can we give our quota, how can we control our quota in ensuring that the local government autonomy operates the way it's supposed to. And also, how can we follow what are happening in the local government councils. And we are trying to bring up what we call corruption prevention program for local governments, whereby we will monitor activities at all the 774 local government areas in this country. One problem we notice is that in this era of technology, there are only 7 local government areas in this country that have functional websites. So we feel that is not right. So we will now try to see how can we use technology to force the local government council to make information available to Nigerians so that Nigerians can follow what they are doing. You, also the editors and other media stakeholders, can be able to follow what are they doing so that we will monitor if there are issues, questions can be asked. We too, we can follow because we don't have the enough manpower to go over all the 774 local government areas. But we feel technology can help us. And we know that practically, I don't think there are procurement processes in our local government councils. This is an area where we need to look at. And also we will ensure that there are mechanisms around control of corruption, around the issue of finances of local government councils. So we will team up with the media, with the civil society to ensure that information are available. Nigerians know what is happening so that at least it will reduce the challenge of corruption at local government level. Last 2 weeks, we are in Gombe, myself and Ola, the chairman of the EFCC. And we discussed around the challenges at local government level. So, and we are determined to ensure that we focus there so that Nigerians at the local level can give the dividend of democracy. And even recently, we have been facing challenges around the issue of this local government autonomy because there is even one caretaker local government chairman whom we charged to court because after the decision of the Supreme Court, he continued to spend government money to award contracts despite the fact that the Supreme Court said, look, stop. And also we know how challenging this issue of local autonomy has been since 1999. But ICPs as an agency, we will ensure that by virtue of Section 287 of the Constitution, we have the power to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court is implemented fully. And also, I'm appealing to those who are making attempts not to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court to please desist. Because Supreme Court is the last court. Once it delivers a judgment, we must comply. That's what is rule of law. Because ICPC will continue to monitor and investigate because any caretaker local government chairman from 11th of July 2024 who spent public funds, who award contract, that is corruption because you don't have the mandate. And also the Apex Court has already spoken, so we must comply. Now, in my 1 year in office, there are a lot of international engagements which ICPC engage in. And in one of the engagements is that last year in September, we had an event in Beijing, China, whereby there is Global Network. Global Network is a coalition of over 200 anti-corruption agencies across the globe from 124 countries. And I had the privilege of leading ICPC delegation and Nigeria, whereby Nigeria participated in an election of steering committee member, and Nigeria was elected as one of the top steering committee member of that global network. And also, one area which I made mention that we have been focusing is the issue of asset recovery. Asset recovery is really area whereby we in Africa, we must focus on it, because we have seen how our own resources have been taken outside the continent, going to the global north. So that was why at the African Union level, if you may recall, in 2015, there is Thabo Mbeki high-level committee, whereby the heads of state of African countries agree that there is need for a forum of asset recovery practitioners in Africa. And the processes of bringing up the forum, it was last year that the forum was established in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I was elected as one of the representatives of West Africa, whereby we met in Arusha, Tanzania in November, whereby I was elected as the interim chair of that forum to try to galvanize the 55 African countries and corruption agencies to ensure that we come together to see how can we help Africa to recover and repatriate stolen assets that are kept somewhere else. And we agree that, look, apart from slavery, which is our own human resources that was taken to other continents, there are a lot of stolen assets of Africa outside the shore of Africa. And we know what is happening. Whenever you want to trace and recover, the experts outside Africa will charge you huge amount of money to recover all professional fees, to recover those stolen assets. So that was why we say, no, we need to come together as Africans. Let us identify our experts within the continent. If we need somebody to trace, Nigeria doesn't have the expert. It can look for Ghana, Kenya, or any other African country. Do you have the expert? Yes. So that's why we are coming together to see that we trace, recover, and repatriate the stolen assets. Also, we'll keep on raising this issue of stolen assets at various fora, because the United Nations Convention Against Corruption has already backed the issue of stolen assets that we need to recover it. So this is an area whereby that I'm chairing now, and we are trying to see how we will make efforts to see that it has seen the light of the day. And distinguished editors, we know that corruption thrives where there is silence or in silence. But your voices are the ones that can shatter that silence. Your role in shaping public perception and holding institutions accountable cannot be overstated. The more Nigerians see what you write, what your opinion about this issue of corruption, the better for us. Because they will be enlightened, they will know what is happening, they will ask questions, and that will put us on our toes. That will minimize the challenge of corruption. Because we at ICPC, we are trying to see how can we use our mission to diminish corrupt practices through our public mobilization, our own doggedness in investigation, and also to ensure that we follow rule of law. We will be patient in investigation. No matter how long it will take, We will do it slowly but surely. We will reach our destination. And also, we at ICPC will ensure that we deepen our own relationship with you, the media. And I'm appealing to you to come to our aid. Try to understand the terrain we are working. It's not easy terrain. Whoever worked within that corruption cycle will know that it is not easy, because it is an area whereby you are fighting those who are already determined to continue to pilfer our resources. It's an area whereby those who engage in corrupt practices are really determined to peddle information that are not correct in order to try to bring controversies so that to divert the attention of the main issue. So fairness, hearing from the other side, is what will help us to discharge our mandate. And ICPC for the past 25 years has consistently maintained ensuring that there is fairness and the fair hearing, and also we do not engage in anything that will bring damage to people because of allegation against them. We will continue to ensure that we will be fair. If you ask questions, we will answer. And like I said, we are appealing to you to reason with us because of the terrain we are operating, which I know I don't need to elaborate. So that's why there is no way we will not come close to you. There is no way, because we need you, because Nigerians need to know what is happening. That will project the good image of our country. That will make foreign direct investment to come into our country. That will make our youth to have job. We know what is happening in this country. We know that a lot of youth are roaming on the streets looking for job. And the youth are the future leaders of this country. So, and it is through you, by helping us to propagate our activities and also to bring issues that will project good image of this country. By doing that, we will make Nigeria great, and also will tackle the challenge of our corruption. And conclusively, I want to emphasize that you mean a lot to us, and that we count on you as dependable partners in ensuring that Nigeria is corrupt-free, and also I'm sure that partnering with you will continue to help ICPC to move forward, and also ICPC will continue to record achievements, and we hope that the aspiration of Section 15 of the Constitution will be realized, where Nigeria will be a country free from corrupt practices and abuse of office. Thank you so much. Money and property last year, and I even know even this year too, we recovered some amount of money and also property. Even currently, we are tracing and marking some assets in one of the states where some people diverted public funds. Even this morning, I know that there is an amount of money which we recovered from the diversion of public funds. So we are talking about both the fixed and movable property. That's if you are talking within Nigeria. Even abroad, it is the same thing. Although during my time, ICPC did not recover any assets from taken outside the shores of Nigeria. But I know that we are collaborating with one of the African countries about money that was brought into Nigeria from that country. We are tracking and to trace the money so that we will see how the money can be taken back to where it was brought in here. So this is what I can say. And some of the issues you raise are part of the problem. Like I said somewhere else, and I kept on saying, I will say it here. My first contact with public office is when I was Attorney General. That was when I now realized that all what I was thinking, when I came into contact with the reality, then I now realize that we Nigerians are part of the problem. One of the issues you raised about societal pressure. I'm not saying that it's a justification for any public officer to engage in corruption. But if you, I'm sure you have had one or two discussions with those who are holding public office. The kind of stress and pressure that public officers are undergoing in this country is too much. Because the family, the friends, associates expect you to give them money. And this is one of the factors that is now pushing those in public office to go into that. And I noticed that any public officer who resists, you are considered as awkward, very difficult, and they will keep on pressurizing you that if only people that are strong that can stand that pressure. And also some people too, they are even daring, will tell you, I was a victim when I was Attorney General. And I want to say it here, maybe the person who did it will hear an issue which I say, look, AG, we want you to do this thing. I say, sir, it's not even in public office, it's not even a public officer. I say, sir, I can't do this thing because my conscience will not allow me to do it. After they put pressure from different angles, okay, you are a young man. How? I don't want to destroy your career. And I say, sir, my career is not in your hand. It's in the hand of God, my Creator. And I left. What followed, it wasn't pleasant. I had to battle for more than 1 year of series of blackmail, from one blackmail to another, just because somebody wants to get money, and you can only get that money through me. And I was put under intense pressure to succumb, which I did not. What followed was I was put under serious stress. Now, the second problem is there is this theory. Whenever the corruption, if you look at it, if the benefit is high, the risk is low, people will keep on to engage. If people know that if you engage in corruption, it is really highly risky, you will lose your reputation in public. People will never consider you as somebody who has reputation in the society. People will be careful. If you know that the punishment is going to be very harsh, people will be careful. But if the risk is very low, the benefit is high, so people will continue to engage. So that is why we need to look, how can we strengthen our laws? to ensure that those who engage are punished seriously. And also, you, the media, you have the role to play in sensitizing Nigerians that those who are trying, please try to support them. And distinguished aides, I want to tell you that there are good people in this country. Every part of this country, there is no part of this country that I did not come across people that detest corruption, people that are serious, people that help me. I met a lot of people that are trying to see how can we help this thing, how can we fight this corruption, Chairman. But the problem is that the support from the public, sometimes people are not willing to support because they feel, you know, what you are doing is not worth it, and also because of the pressure, so people feel like, okay, let us leave you, go and do what. So this is second problem. And also, we need to see how can we fasten the judicial process, because it's law. It is not the law that is the problem, but rather some of us within the system, we try to put stumbling block in the judicial processes, bring in series of applications, truncate, so that you will see one case will take many years. Even the witness will be frustrated. You call a witness today, the matter is adjourned, and I'm not saying that it is the fault of the judges. No, it is all of us, the lawyers, and also other stakeholders, that we know if your client has an issue, as a lawyer, you know, because once you look at the facts and the proof of evidence, you'll be able to know that my client has an issue. Okay, how can we help him to face justice so that all the process of justice, the court and the system should be fair to him? But you will see that that slowing down is also another factor. That you will see somebody engage in corruption, when you take him to court, it will take many years. And before you know it, you will see another corruption case. And also another problem, especially in the public sector, I now notice, is that our public service rules also has a problem, because it has given a leeway that people engaging in corruption, there is no specific provision which provides that, look, once you are engaged in corruption, you should automatically be dismissed. But some, you will find that after ICPC are investigating an issue, it has taken somebody to court, even if you secure conviction, you will not realize that the agencies are not willing to edge out those people. They will leave them to continue working. Because I feel any public officer that is convicted, he is not supposed to continue working in public agency. He should go. If the Constitution will say that conviction of embezzlement and fraud attracts disqualification for a certain period of time, I think there is need. Any convict should not be allowed to work within the public service. It should just be aged out. And that is why now, as chairman of ICPC, we are now going to exploit the Code of Conduct, Bureau and Tribunal. Any public officer with secure conviction and the agency refuses to edge him out, we will send him to Code of Conduct, because they have the power to edge him out. So there is another way, so that we don't allow people to continue. So these and other issues are part of the problem, why the problem of corruption will keep on coming and coming and coming. And also the institutions are really weak because there are a lot of vulnerabilities where people are exploiting in order to commit corrupt practices. That is why we need to focus on technology. Technology will be able to give you the thread. You will be able to know some of the things that are happening, most especially around procurement. This is an area whereby there is serious problem because of the laxity and the challenge around that. So that's why you will see that almost you will be seeing issues around procurement be raised in public sector. So this is also another factor that is bringing this issue of corruption to keep on going. And also there is international dimension too. Because if those who are taking or stealing the humongous amount of money, they don't have a place to hide it, then it will reduce. But they know that they can wear it somewhere else. And those countries, I keep on saying, when you say that we have challenge of corruption, why are you keeping the process of crime in your country? Why can't you turn them back? This is process of crime. Please take it back to your country because there is United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And it is a global legal instrument. But you will find out that when they wear the money outside the country, there are a lot of technicalities. MLA, other things that will be frustrated because the legal mechanisms are made in such a way that it's even very, very difficult for you to recover. So if they know that they cannot take it somewhere else, I think the problem might reduce. Okay, the constancy project, like I said, we have been investigating the issue because it's a challenge that has been with us for a long period of time. And from what I notice of why the challenge keep on coming is one of the issues you made mention. Because there was a time when member of National Assembly, he told me, say, Chairman, I have concern. I say, what is your concern? He said, it's about this your executive project tracking. You people are doing well, but I know why this issue will keep on coming. On that day, he was telling me the challenge he was facing. There was burial in his hometown. You need to contribute. He said, look, somebody had domestic accident. He called me. And so he kept on mentioning. He said, I'm not justifying, but the societal pressure on us is too much. That's why only those who are strong will resist. And I don't know whether that is part of the reason why we are having this challenge. And to be frank with you, we have noticed areas whereby some of them did not execute the projects. We have noticed whereby some of them, they did shoddy job. We have noticed whereby some of you notice that, like I keep on saying, a well is supposed to be dig in one place and somebody will just take it to his home farmland. We will see whereby street lights, instead of to be installed on the streets, somebody will put in his house. So these are challenges that are keep coming. And I know that there is one of the newspapers last year, they made a front page story that ICPC has failed to tackle this challenge. And I know that we have been doing our best. And we did a lot because we have recovered a lot. And even currently, I know that there are there is somebody who is facing trial. A child will file a charge against one of the former members of National Assembly. A former member is facing trial because of diversion. And also we know that we have been going to ensure that if you do not execute the contract, you must go and do it. I know that there is a state whereby an ambulance was diverted. We ensure that it was taken to the hospital. I know where a lot of things, and that's why the strategy is good, in the sense that let us recover the proceeds of crime and put it into use. Because if you keep on filing charges and all these things, you will spend many years in court while the actual project will not be executed. And to be fair to them, if you confront them, you show them the proof. Honorable or distinguished, this is a project you're supposed to execute, you do not. Please direct the contractor to go back to site, or contractor go back to site. They go back. And recently, those who are being used, the contractors, I have been hard on them. If you allow money to be diverted through you, we are going to charge you now. You want to refund that money because you allow yourself to be used as conduit pipe. So we have been doing that and we have recovered a lot. And if I may say that the societal pressure, in my view, is one of the challenges, and also the weakness of the institutions. Because, to be frank, some of the heads of agencies, they allow themselves to be used in these challenges of constituency projects. Because if the head of agencies insists, once there is a contract awarded, that contract must be executed to the latter. Or you insist that you are not going to allow anything to be inserted in your budget, which is not out of your mandate. So if we will do that, then this thing will minimize. But if the head of agencies allow themselves to be used, then this thing will keep on happening. And ICPC, all the corruption agencies, we don't have the capacity to follow all the projects. That's why you, as media, you can expose. The public too, they need to follow their project, all your projects. If there's a project which is supposed to be done in your constituency or in your sector district, it was not done, raise it. And I don't think there is any public officer that you confront him with evidence that this amount of money was appropriated for a particular project and you don't execute, please go back and execute. You will not say, no, I'm not going to do that. I hope I have answered. We are doing it in such a way that we don't disrupt the financial system. So we do it in such a way that we don't allow you to continue with illegality and committing crime, so that we will save the banking system and also the public sector fund. Then on issue of Dubai, like you made mention, in my speech I made mention of proceeds of crime. And I alluded to the fact that the international legal regimes, the various laws of countries are the problem. Because for me, I kept on saying in various fora on corruption that look, if somebody steals our money and take it to your own country and you keep it, why are you telling me that we should come together and fight corruption? Why? Because you know, because your own, there is no your money in my country. So that's why you are saying we should join hands. Why I have traced and point out to you, this is the public funds taken to your own country. Why can't you give us our own? But because of the legal regimes, sometimes it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of, it's not even law alone, there are politics, there are diplomacy, so it is something which is even outside the realm of anti-corruption agencies alone, because you need a lot of stakeholders. I know recently there are countries that I am the one who have been following that, look, let us sign an MOU with you, because we have noticed our funds are being taken to your own countries. And they agree. There are some 1 or 2 countries that I know that we are about to complete signing an MOU because of what we have noticed.
Also here, as a media owner, here with my team, we have a radio station and also a television station. I want to commend your efforts. For you to meet with the media shows you are transparent. It shows you are accountable. I don't have any question to ask you because I'm part of the team. It is not cheap to fight corruption. It's very, very expensive. Fighting corruption is also very, very complex. It's not as easy as we used to say it. It is only the person that is wearing the shoe that will know where
pitches
is. So I commend your efforts and I pray for more grace that God should color your efforts. Everything is in your favor, the age, the energy, you have the capacity, and you have the right team to help you to drive it.
Thank you.
You have the right team to drive it. Finally, you have this advice. You can't do it alone. You need to also rely on the outside team to help you to drive your dreams, your plans, and goals, especially in the area of the media. I suggest maybe you could have something like a strategic media public enlightenment committee. Comprises, of course, the media team as well, stakeholders. You have a committee who also help you spread your good news. Also help you spread your good news either in the public sector, in the private sectors, and all that. Because if you say you want to work with media like you would like to work to, it's very, very expensive. But when you have the committees, selected committee, media team, editors, and also for the private sector and public sector, they will help you to achieve your dreams and goals. So you have our support, and like I said, God will color your efforts. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Angry ones and the pastors. Let me just add to your to-do list. I had 2 questions written down, but after Ikechukwu gave his lecture, I decided to calm down. You talked about, before I round up, and thank you for coming, judges advising you to go settle out of court. The biggest problem, one of the biggest problems with corruption in Nigeria are those judges. Recently, I think it was the Chief Justice of Nigeria who said election cases constitute about 70 or 80% of the cases they have in their docket, which suggests that election cases are very lucrative for them. So you have to put your searchlight on the judiciary. Then number 2, your constituency, the legal profession. Please, MBA has, from all accounts, a vibrant lawyer, Afam Osigwe. Engage, collaborate with him. MBA too has to deliver. Plea bargaining takes place and judges advise you to go settle out of court. It's because the judges too are corrupt. The appointment and promotion mechanism on the bench is also corrupt. Search the NJC. Today, the type of, what's the word now? Corruption in terms of judicial promotion in Abuja is huge and impacts on the quality of judgment delivered. So, Mr. Chairman, the biggest thing you have done is to come here to show transparency. You said corruption thrives when there's. I also say this, I'll add to that corruption thrives when there's darkness, when it's hidden. So you're coming out here
suggests that you really want to fight corruption in partnership with my colleagues. And it's a brilliant thing you have done. I know you met some of my colleagues in Abuja, and that's why the Secretary of the Guild and the Deputy President of the Guild are here. You have to continue, because if you want to work with the media, honestly, the way you have shown, the media will work with you, and Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you for coming. God bless you.
And I will do my best to discharge my duty to the best of my ability, together with the officers of the ICPC. That is why, if people are raising the issue of bias, the issue of all this lie, you cannot prevent people from raising those kind of issues. But one thing I know, that if I satisfy my conscience, I'll go to sleep. And like I said, there is somewhere else that we are going to account somewhere. And that is why I try as much as possible to be fair in what I'm doing. And also God knows what I'm doing, and also know my ability, because the anti-corruption is a very complex and difficult thing. Sometimes getting evidence, getting things is difficult. Even if you're investigating issues, somebody will look like you are targeting you are targeting somebody, or you have a motive, or this thing. So on my own part, I will do my best, and also posterity will judge, because that's the only thing I can say. On the other issue, which like the president said, that the lecture you gave us, and some of the things you raised, I quite agree with you that those are the challenges, and we need to work on them. And in my view, that is why the Constitution is structured in such a way that the Chapter 2, it is left in such a way that is you, the leader, that should strive to ensure that Chapter 2 is realizable. You attain that aspiration: education, healthcare, good environment, all other social amenities. You as a leader, you must think outside the box to ensure that you reduce the poverty level, which I agree with you. The level of poverty is really high, and we need to tackle it, because without tackling the poverty, we will continue to face this challenge of corruption that keeps on coming. And also, we are not justifying or depending the public office holders or the politicians, like you said, that we are saying that there is societal pressure. Like you said, it's a fact. We can't deny it. Myself as ICPC chairman, if I show you the number of text messages people are sending to me every day, you'll be shocked. In fact, I am even thinking that some they have even forgotten that I am the ICPC chairman. Maybe they are thinking that I am chairman of one local government or a state government, because they will keep on sending. So, and also they will keep on calling, because the number of calls are such that they are unbearable. And we are part of the society. Even if we deny, there is such a thing that even if you deny, is a reality. And I agree that poverty is one of the factors. But also we have to keep on telling people that they need to consider public holders. And also, we, the public office holders, also, we need to live a simple life. Because some of us, the way we are living a very larger life, that's why people will keep on patronizing you. But unfortunately, it is also us, the Nigerians, that are pushing people. Like that member I started an example, he told me that my constituents were telling me that, look at this man. He has finished house order, he has an old car. Up to now. So people are even look at you, there are certain things that even if you exhibit as a public officer, people will look at you that is strange. So why? Because it is the society that are pushing people to adopt a life that will put you in trouble. And once you resist, like I said, they will say you are awkward, you are difficult, you know, all these things. And we are all human beings. And that is why we need that support from you, the media, in your own writings, articles, and opinions, and also the public too. They need to support public officers that are transparent, that try to live within their means and within the ambit of the law. But without that, you will find one or two people that because of that, they will derail. Because of that prejudice. That's why always I will raise this issue of prejudice. Last week when I was in Gombe, and I told the chairman, don't allow anybody to put pressure on you to dip your hand in public purse. Let them say whatever they want to say. Because one day you are going to leave. It's better for you to leave, you go home and sleep well, than for you to leave and something to follow up which will not be nice.
According to the former UBA Group Managing Director, Mr. Kennedy Uzoka, he's a man that knows it all. Also, another described him as an encyclopedia of knowledge. The both are now farther from the truth of a man whose career has spanned over 4 decades, being part of a dozen organizations in both the banking and manufacturing sectors. Serving in different capacities is either a director, board member, or chairman of organizations such as Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, PZ Cussons PLC, Nigerian Breweries PLC, and United Bank for Africa PLC. In the same vein, he also had some link with the British American Tobacco Nigerian Foundation and Nutrisima Limited. He was once the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, where he clamored for the patronization of local content by all well-meaning Nigerians. Also, he served as chairman of the former Universal Trust Bank PLC (UTB) before the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo implemented the recapitalization of banks in Nigeria. born Kolawole Babalola Jamodu on February 9, 1944 in Odo Ere, Yagba West local government area of the present Kogi State. Kola Jamodu attended St. Paul's Primary School in City College from 1958 to 1961. Harvard Business School, Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America from 1986 to 1987. His mother was Mrs. Fumi Olabinwonu. Not much was known about his father. At an early age, Kolawole showed an uncanny drive for knowledge and learning, which will form a greater part of his adult life. His rise to fame hasn't been without its peculiar episodes of challenges. He started his career with the United African Company of Nigeria, UACN, in 1962. 3 years later, he moved to Lever Brothers Nigeria Limited, now Unilever Nigeria PLC, and in 1965, where he received many years of experience of over 10 years in production, commerce, and finance. He later joined PZ Customs Group in 1975 as a group accountant. Chief Kolawole Jamodu, for many who work closely with him, is a go-getter, both in the business arena and an exemplary leader in achieving the corporate governance with a litany of portfolios in diverse sectors. He's a trailblazer practically in many areas. He was the first Nigerian to be appointed as Group Finance Director at PZ. In 1980, he was appointed Chairman, PZ Nigeria Limited, then a trading subsidiary of the PZ Group, while still holding his position as a PZ Group Financial Director. In 1987, he became the first Nigerian Deputy Group Chief Executive, and in 1990, he became the first Nigerian Group Chief Executive of PZ Customs. Still in 1990, he was appointed Chairman of PZ Customs PLC, becoming the first Nigerian to combine the positions of a Chairman and Chief Executive. He, in 1999, after he had served in that capacity for many years, meritoriously retired but remained on the PZ Board of Directors as Chairman in a non-executive capacity. Known for his strategic touch of class, Take 2, although his first appointment as Executive Chairman of PZ Customs was interrupted by his appointment as Minister of Industry in 2001, when PZ went through a tumultuous season in 2013, when revenue nosedived and profit hemorrhaged. Kola Jamodu was on every shareholder's lips, underscoring the confidence reposed in his ability to provide effective leadership hitherto wanting for the company at that time. Known for his knack for having the right strategy to grow business in a difficult market. In his capacity as Chairman of Nigerian Breweries PLC, Kola Jamodu led the strategic investment and acquisition that have enabled Nigerian breweries seize key markets from competitors, positioning the company to maintain leading market share, moderate operating costs, and grow wealth for shareholders. In 2014, Nigerian Breweries acquired Consolidated Breweries Limited, with which sales revenue grew by 10% in 2015, even as the total brewed market declined. The company saved cost and defend profit drop in 2015. Jamodu also served as Chairman of Universal Trust Bank PLC, a Director in Ashaka Cement, and a Director in Honeywell Flour Mills PLC. And also, he's been a Director of United Bank of Africa since 2007. He's a Fellow of Chartered Institute of Accounting, Nigeria, Fellow of Chartered Institute of Management Accounts, London, and Fellow of Chartered Institute of Secretaries. The name Jamodu trumpets loud and clear in Nigeria's boardroom leadership, owing to his dedicated work and great accomplishments in building businesses. Jamodu has only been a seeker of new challenges, set to brave and break new grounds. Our key takeaways from his tenure as minister highlighted the introduction of various innovative backward integration policies that enabled self-sufficiency in the production of goods like cement and other staples. This move led to increased foreign direct investment, job creations, and a major boost to national economy and GDP. Dr. Jamodu, after a hiatus from the private sector, was appointed to numerous board positions with reputable multinational companies in Nigeria. For a start, he was reappointed chairman of United Bank for Africa plc as a non-executive director in 2007. It's worth of note to say that in 2006, Dr. Jamodu was appointed to the board of Nigerian Breweries plc as a non-executive director and later moved to become chairman in 2008, where he served 17 years meritoriously, spending 15 of those years as board chairman, and on April 30, 2023, retired as chairman of the organization, leaving a legacy of growth, innovation, and continuous success. Under his watch, the Nigerian breweries grew in leaps and bounds, strengthened its brand presence, and continued to drive positive change in the Nigerian breweries sector.
What was achieved during my period was a joint effort, because you can't say a leader if there are no followers. There are committees, and these committees are made of members of mine.
Chief Dr. Kola Jamodu is a recipient of several national honors, including Member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, MFR, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR. Also, he's a recipient of the National Productivity Merit Award, NPMA. Additionally, he's a Chartered Global Management Accountant, CGMA, a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Management, London, and Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. He's also a Distinguished Fellow of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. During his 4-year stint at the helms of affairs in the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, he served in different capacities like the National Treasurer, Chairman of the Economic Policy Committee, Chairman of the Policy Advocacy Committee, Vice President, and later President from 2010 to 2014. Also, he is the past president of the Harvard Business School Alumni Association of Nigeria, a former president of the Chemical and Non-Metallic Products Employees Foundation, and an honorary member of the Nigerian Industrial Policy and Competitiveness Advisory Council, chaired by the Nigeria's Vice President. He's also served in various capacities such as Member of Council at the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, Member of Council at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, and Distinguished Member of the Board of Fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Management, NIM. He is an active member of Ikoyi Club 1938, Lagos Island Club, Lagos Metropolitan Club, Lagos Motor Boat Club, Moderates Club, and Lagos Dining Club, some of Nigeria's most prestigious social organizations. Not many people, prominent or otherwise, could be suitably described as detribalized nationalists like Dr. Kola Jamodu, whose great likeness for all and sundry cultures and tongues,
Coupled with his numerous contributions to the growth and development of various communities nationwide, earned him several chieftaincy titles such as Ashiwaju of Ere Kingdom in Kogi State, Are Apashewa of Ere Land, also in Kogi State, Babalaja of Lagos, Boba Gunwa of Ere Land, Kogi State, Maye Bobajiro of Ibadan Land, Oyo State, Barakoyi of Oshoboland, Osun State, Mayegun of Ayetoro, Wede, Kogi State, Fiwajoye of Mulipa, Jebu-Ode, Ogun State, Ikemba one of Oba Nsuka, Ari of Erukuland, Kwara State. Jamadu is nothing short of a legend. Although with limited experience in partisan politics, he stood tall and stepped into the plate when occasion presented itself in Kogi State, when he took leadership of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) as minister, serving in the cabinet of the ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo. In the middle of 2020, Chief Dr. Ola Jamodu served as the pioneer chairman of the Elders Advisory Committee (EAC) of Pan-Okun Relief Response Agenda, which played a pivotal role when the world was faced with the coronavirus, mobilizing resources to provide relief materials for the entire Okun people, as well as address various issues relating to the pandemic in the land. He, through the Kola Jamodu Foundation, KJF scholarships are provided to several poor students through all levels of education, primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, medical support to indigents who have genuine medical conditions but couldn't afford to foot the bill. Chief Kola Babalola Jamodu, over the years, his hobbies have been the same: reading, traveling, golf, and badminton. He is married to his sweetheart, Olori Asiwaju of Ere Kingdom, Chief Mrs. Fumilayo Jamodu, and they are blessed with children and grandchildren. Chief Dr. Ola Babalola Jamodu.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Hello and welcome to Souq News Television. We're reaching you live from our studios in Lagos. Now the news. The federal government has raised an alarm over fraudulent jobs adverts falsely claiming President Tinubu ordered mass recruitment into 4 key security agencies. In a statement today, the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board confirmed that while presidential approval exists for hiring into Nigeria Immigration Service, the Civil Defense Corps, Correctional Service, and Federal Fire Services, no recruitment process has begun. Board Secretary Major General Abdulmalik Jibrin warned that official announcements will only be made through national papers, stressing that no fees are required for legitimate applications. The Ministry of Interior, Olubumi Tunji Ojo, urged Nigerians to disregard social media posts promising jobs, labeling them as scams by criminal elements exploiting unemployed citizens. Authorities says victims of fraud should also report to security agencies immediately. Now, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to tackling Nigeria's infrastructure deficit, revealing major road projects underway across the country. The Minister of State for Works, Barrister Mohammed Bello Goronyo, disclosed this during a media briefing in Sokoto, stating that the Tinubu administration inherited over 2,000 kilometers of unfinished road networks, but has made progress in completing and launching new ones. Key projects include the 1,068-kilometer Sokoto-Badagry Road, boosting trade between north, west, and southwest. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, with 30 kilometers already completed, and the Abuja-Kano Road, now extending to Aminu Kano Airport. Goronyo acknowledged security challenges slowing construction in some areas, but assured that the 260 projects have been completed in 2 years, with more on the way. The minister emphasized that these projects align with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aimed at boosting economic growth and national connectivity. The federal government of Nigeria will lose $10 million in World Bank funding after failing to meet critical project deadlines and international audit standards. The funds are part of the $103 million loan aimed at improving Nigeria's public financial management. According to a World Bank restructuring document, Nigeria missed multiple key targets, including the completion of internationally compliant audit for the Federal Inland Revenue Service and Customs Service. A promised national budget portal, which was allocated $1 million, remains undelivered. Additionally, a $4.5 million revenue assurance system is behind schedule, with only half of federal agencies complying with required Treasury single account reforms. The system's rollout has now been pushed to August, 2 months after the project's official closing date. While Nigeria recorded progress in non-oil revenue surpassing targets, the World Bank rated overall project execution as moderately unsatisfactory. The $10 million cut takes effect June 30th unless immediate corrective action is taken. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has granted Bureau de Change operators an additional 6 months to meet a recapitalization requirement, pushing the new deadline to December 31st, 2025. This comes after the initial deadline of June 3rd, 2025, passed with only 10% compliance from Bureau de Change operators. The president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators, Amin Godabe, confirmed the extension in a group chart, though the CBN has yet to issue an official statement. Under the new recapitalization rules introduced in February 2024, Tier 1 Bureau de Change must raise 2 billion naira to operate nationwide, while Tier 2 Bureau de Change need 500 million naira for single-state operations. Meanwhile, the naira gained strength against the dollar in both official and parallel markets on Tuesday. Now, the Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission, LASEC, has officially banned all unlicensed power operators in the state. Under a new directive imposed by the Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission, LASEC, any company or individual conducting electricity business without state approval will be fined 20 million naira plus additional 20,000 naira per day if they fail to comply. The order takes immediate effect, marking the full transition of regulatory control from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, to the Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission, LASEC. Existing national regulators, including tariff guidelines, safety codes, and metering rules, remain in force until further notice. The Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission Chief Executive, Dr. Fuad Animashao, stated that the move ensures fair pricing, reliable supply, and investor protection in Lagos electricity market. Affected operators have been directed to apply for licenses or cease operations immediately. Now, on the foreign scene, French President Emmanuel Macron is calling for a ban on social media access for children under 15. This move follows a violent stabbing at a school in northern France, where a teenager was seriously injured. Authorities said the suspect, also a minor, may have been influenced by online content. Macron argues that social media platforms expose young users to harmful materials, including violence and harassment. The proposed ban will require stricter age verification, but critics question enforcement and privacy concerns. France's education minister has backed the plan, urging parents to monitor their children's online activity. If approved, the measure could set a precedent in Europe, where debates over youth social media use are growing. Similar restrictions already in place in parts of the US and China. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souq News Business. Souq News Business Landscape comes up after this. I am Olumide Shokoya. Good afternoon.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
A drop makes a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola, in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband, to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from about age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, come, what do you want? I want to change to law. Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office? Yes, sir. Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you.
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, she went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Kano State, where she worked as an audit trainee at Akintola Williamson Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after her service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having done or gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just a month before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into Souq Chair Center Limited, following a venture merger with Souq SA and Guarantee Trust back in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. totally empty. That no talents, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awosika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolayan movie titled Citation, which in addition to the books she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of Souq SA of France, GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to note that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of The Dragon's Den. Unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awosika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the board of trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jura Limited and Cabri Nigeria PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awosika's octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020 after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Ilupeju. He was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awosika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awosika by building the Ibukun Awosika Sports Center at our beloved secondary school, Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, Lagos. This project took about 6 months to complete and had some of our mentees like Tara Durutoye, Ndidi Okuanu, Chichi Nwoko, and Bisola Runsewe. They marshaled it alongside a team of other successful people. She stands like Joshua upon the pinnacle of the Horeb, looking to command an army of a new generation of women entrepreneurs that wouldn't stop at anything to achieving their God-given dreams. For her,
She believes that regardless of how illustrious her career is and how successful she could ever get in life, her family and husband remain the most important gift in her life. Ibukun Awoshika.
In Africa, there's one man who has consistently been a household name and index of reference in the business arena. The name Aliko Dangote apparently stands tall. The Africa's richest man clearly benchmarks success, wealth, and prosperity. His unofficial love and passion for business are quite phenomenal. These can be traced to his background. Born in April 10, 1957 to Maria Sanusi Dantata and Mohammed Dangote, his maternal ancestors were prosperous caravan traders under British colonial rule, and his grandfather, Alhaji Sanusi Dantata, was a commodity trader. Dangote's grandfather was heavily involved in his upbringing and helped ignite his entrepreneurial spirit. For Dangote, one would ever assume his wealth was handed out or his